Hi, everyone. We're so glad you're here. You are in the inaugural session of the New Teacher Math Academy, and we are thrilled you have chosen to take an hour out of your day to be here. Please take the time to go ahead and rename yourself so that your grade level is the number in front of your name. And you can do that using the three dots in your video icon square.
All right, you guys, it is 4 o'clock. Yeah, and we're going to get started. If you haven't had the chance, please rename yourself with your grade level being at the front of your name. It'll just make things a little bit easier as we are putting people into breakout rooms. I am Faith Campbell. I am a math specialist here at the county office.
And I'm Catherine Smith, and I too am a math specialist for at the county office as well.
All right, so we just wanted to offer up some learning agreements for you guys today. We want to always keep our students at the forefront, stay engaged and participate. We want to provide opportunities for voice equity, show grace and patience, and then we want to be vulnerable and take risks. So we ask you to kind of pick one of those that really is kind of sticking out to you today and hold on to it for our hour together. On our agenda for today, we are going to spend some time getting to know each other. We are going to have table families. Then we're going to kind of dig into the meat of classroom setup, routines, and procedures. I'm going to show you how to locate resources for this session and for math in general. And then we're going to talk about some next steps. So a jam-packed hour today. And y'all, we are all about positive experiences and trying to just kind of keep a positive lens on things. And we know you guys have already experienced some good things this year. So we wanted you to just take a second and in the chat, share something positive that has happened to you. It can be in your personal life or work related, but just a moment to get us off on a positive start.
And drop that in the chat so we can all see.
All right. Someone relocated from New York.
Oh, somebody closed on a new house yesterday. That's exciting.
That is exciting.
You've had a lot going on if you've done that and started a new classroom this year.
We have love for our students. They're so smart. Love it, love it.
Somebody's getting married next week. Ooh, there's some graduations coming up in October. Oh, that's awesome. Staff members have been so supportive of you all in your class, in your buildings. That is phenomenal.
Yes, that is. That's what we want to hear.
Lots of graduations. Oh,
First
yay.
time teacher.
Yep.
Woo, woo.
Oh, Holly, a wonderful group of students this year and a great team. That is fabulous. That's definitely puts us in a good space with some good vibes right there.
Yes, and please keep putting those in as you think of them. Catherine and I will be able to read those later just to hear the great things that you're experiencing. All right, so although we have different learning goals for each new teacher session, our bigger goal is for you to have the opportunity to connect with other new teachers in the district. We are here to support you, but we want you to have the opportunity to talk with other people that are in a similar situation, processing many of the same experience and emotions as you are. So during our time together, you will have a table family. And that's why we ask you guys to make sure you signed in with your GCPS email. We want you to have a family that you can connect with. So in our breakout rooms, you are going to have that same breakout room through the whole year. So we want you to have the opportunity to get to know each other, to be vulnerable. If you want to make connections outside of our sessions, we encourage you to do that. So we are going to start with a little bit of a connection moment. So we want you to take a second to introduce yourself. But before we send you into breakout rooms, we're going to give you a couple of minutes to just reflect. And what is something that you need to feel safe to take risk and be vulnerable in your breakout rooms and here in the New Teacher Math Academy. So I'm going to give you a minute to kind of think on that, and then we're going to send you out to breakout rooms.
All right, so as you're coming back, hopefully you all took a chance to talk to one another, make some connections. This will be your group for the remainder of the day. So you will have this group, and as well as next time, possibly a grade level group. So you will have multiple people to reach out to, okay? All right, so we are going to go ahead and jump into the meat of our session today. And as we do that, we wanted to talk through the types of lessons, give you an overview of the GCPS math instruction that you may have already encountered or definitely will be encountering as you progress through the year. These resources, that the lesson plans you find are on eCom, and we are going to talk about that towards the back end of the session. But for our learning today, it is all about your classroom setup and all about those routines and procedures that have to be in place so that you can be that effective teacher, okay? As we talk through these ideas of classroom setup and routines and procedures, you're going to hear us refer to these different lesson type structures and their different components. Okay, so we wanted just to give you a quick overview. One type of lesson that you have most of you have probably encountered already is the GCPS traditional teacher-led lesson. This lesson is a teacher's opportunity to model expert thinking and teach those new concepts to students. These lessons are on grade level with rigorous mathematics, and they also have a very specific teaching point. There are 4 numeracy components with these. There is an activating strategy. There is a mini lesson. Notice this is our biggest chunk. This is where we need this is why we need lots and lots of routines and procedures, is for this big old chunk right here. And then we have our summary. Okay, that's the traditional teacher-led lesson. The other type of lesson you will encounter is what's known as the task-based learning lesson. Okay, this type of lesson allows your students to learn new math and extend their current understanding by working collaboratively to solve problems that have multiple solution pathways. So you're going to see there are 3 components to these types of lessons. There is a launch. This Explore is the opportunity for students to engage in a task where there is that exploration piece. And then we have a culminating debrief, okay? Some types of these lessons might include a formative assessment lesson. You may hear it called a FAL, F-A-L, that's what they're referring to. You may find an inquiry lesson. It could be a culminating lesson that you'll find at the end of the units, and a 3-act task for sure. We will be digging into these lesson structures in our later sessions. So if you have any questions before those sessions, please feel free to email me or Faith, and we can definitely answer them. But at the end of the session, you are also going to receive a link to the Padlet so that you can post your questions there, and Faith and I will definitely answer them. All right. All right. Those are the types of lessons. Let's get into your classroom environment. How should I set up my classroom to foster collaboration and student independence in the classroom? That's going to be our guiding question as we talk through these big ideas, okay? We want to set up our classrooms in a way that will allow for your teacher supervision, for quick teacher check-ins, as well as that important student collaboration piece, okay? Let's talk about your meeting space. Right? This is where you will pull all of your students to one space together. This area will give you the space so that students can engage in activating strategies, your lesson launches, your mini lessons, as well as your summarizing activities. Here, you'll also create those anchor charts, authentic anchor charts, where you create them with your kids. And They will be able to use these as a reference during instruction, during that small group time. And we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. Okay. Having students in this one space will allow students to quickly collaborate with one another, turn and talk to your partner, have those rich mathematical discussions when your students are engaging in that. It will give you an opportunity to formally assess your students and their thinking. This image here that you see, this teacher, your students may have pre-assigned spots as this teacher has, or they may be assigned or not assigned. If they're assigned, maybe Faith sits here, Catherine sits on this pink one, or maybe it is everybody just find a spot on a circle to sit on as you come to the space. Some things to consider for this large group space is making sure you have access to everything you need for your lessons. If you're planning on modeling with your document camera, is that nearby? Or do you prefer an easel? This teacher obviously prefers an easel, and this teacher made very sure she had access to everything she needs. She has manipulatives here. She even has her literacy access here as well. Okay. All right. The next space we need to consider are those small group areas. Where are your students working during that differentiated small group time? And where are the teachers working that come in your room? Okay. Do your students have a place to work? Are they going to be working on the floor? Are they going to be working at the different tables? Have you set your desks up in pods? Okay. I was in a classroom one time. I thought it was a fabulous idea. One teacher literally put a sticky note on the ceiling, taped it on there, and it said group number one. Group number one worked under that spot on the floor. So those are some ideas you may want to consider when you are doing that, then setting up that student-led space. The next space you need to consider, truly think through, is that teacher-led workspace. Do you have a table or space to pull your children to? I used to pull my kids to the floor. All right. It's up to you. Do you have access to the materials that you need for that group? You can see this teacher's area. She has, or he has the manipulatives here, and as well as her literacy tools here. So you're going to have to be mindful of both types of materials that you're going to need. The other person you really need to think about is whether or not you have that support teacher in your classroom. Does that teacher have access to a workspace in your room, and do they have access to the tools they need? Okay. You can also see the teacher has her own caddy with markers, whiteboards, etc. All right. And lastly, as you are setting up your classroom environment, access to those resources. We know you're receiving your math manipulatives right now, and y'all, we are so just truly rich in tools to share with our kids to teach our concepts. But part of that on our end is making sure we're organized for that. You want to set up your resources in your classroom that promote the student use of manipulatives and provide that easy access so students can walk over to this bookshelf, for example, and grab the fraction tiles if they need them, or grab the snap cubes if they need them, so they're not interrupting anyone else. All right. This will allow for students to work independent of the teacher, and gives you an opportunity to self-assess and the manipulative scaffold that their instruction and their learning as needed. Okay. And the last thing I want you to consider when you're thinking about your classroom setup, those anchor charts that we put together and created with our kids back in our large group meeting space, where are they going to go? All right. You want to make sure your students have access to those anchor charts because they become a true reference for them. And I'm going to put a plug in right now. I know you can make some very cute anchor charts on your computer, but as soon as you change the screen, guess what happens? It goes away, and that resource that your children are still referring to disappears. Okay. So you want to make sure your students have access to those wonderful anchor charts you will be creating throughout the year. All right. So now that we've talked through the classroom environment, Faith is going to talk us through classroom management and routines and procedures.
And y'all, we know some of y'all are just new to GCPS. and you've been doing this for a minute, but we have people that this is their first year teaching, or this is their career change. So we really are just kind of going through some of the basics that people don't always think of. Y'all, the routine, I did not realize that would give me as much drama as it did, was sharpening pencils. So really just kind of thinking about the little things. Do you have a routine or a procedure for this? So we're going to start with kind of like those whole group activities. So when we talk about classroom management consists of the practices and procedures that a teacher uses to maintain the environment in which instruction and learning can take place. Classroom management deals with how students do their work, and procedures are used to ensure students are productive and successful. And y'all, that is from long and long. If you went through an educator program, you've probably heard that before. So any routine or procedure that you are going to use in your class has to be modeled for your students. It has to be explicitly taught, and your students have to have the opportunity to practice. And then sometimes you're going to have to reteach it again because they don't get it that first time. So when we are thinking about our whole group space, those carpet spots Catherine just showed you, we want to think about, how are my kids coming to that space? What are they bringing with them to the space? Where are they sitting? It's been a week now, and you probably know some kids need to be closer to you and some kids don't need to be together. And then what does it look like when I sit on that space? Just like you can create anchor charts for your instruction. Catherine, if you'll click one more for me. You can create anchor charts for your behavior expectations as well. So really just thinking about the to, the from, what does it look like? What does it sound like in your whole group meeting space? Now, this goes back to your activating strategy. That's usually where you're going to be during that. Your mini lesson, you could bring them back to that area for your summary. So lots of movement, lots of back and forth. So it's really important that your kids know exactly what your expectation is and they practice it. So let's go ahead and talk about some classroom management routines and procedures for small groups. When we are thinking about small groups, we have to teach them how to get to their small group. So a big part of small group instruction is going to be your transitions. Where is my group? How do I get there? And where is my assignment? So this is an example of a teacher. She used sticky notes to show her flexible groups. So the groups changed as she needed them to. And then the drawers beside the filing cabinet were where the students had their assignments. So something simple like this could be done just to organize how your students know what group to go to, which day, and where their assignments are. Next, we have our group expectations. What does it look like to work in a group? What does it sound like? Teaching, again, those explicit directions on what it looks like. And we are going to dig into how to foster collaborative conversations in a later session, but really just getting them to work together. What does it look and sound like to be nice? Who's doing the work? Are you both doing the work? Those types of things. We also need routines and procedures for materials. We need to know that our manipulatives are a tool, not a toy. So then where do I get the manipulatives? How do I get my computer? How do I use the manipulatives? How is this going to help me? If you didn't model how to use a manipulative in your lesson, then the students might not have the background knowledge to really use it. So just making sure you're being explicit with that. What if my pencil breaks? Do I have a cup full of sharpened pencils? Is it okay for me to sharpen my pencil? All of those types of things when it comes to materials, just having a place for them to turn in their work, all of that stuff, little things that sometimes first year or new teachers don't really think about. Then we have our what ifs, and y'all, our what ifs could go all day.
Yeah.
So what do I do if I'm stuck? Do you have a procedure? Like, ask 3 before me. We want these things to be in place so that your teacher small group doesn't get interrupted and you can get as much bang for your buck during that time. What do I do if I finish early? I think that's the next click. Some teachers have early finisher options. Yes, you guys, you're going to have access to all of these charts and ideas. We're going to show you exactly where to get all of that. What do I do if I need to go to the bathroom? What do I do if I have technology issues? Do you have like a geek squad, like some kids in your class that are real good at being techie, or do I just get a different Chromebook? What do I do if my partner that I'm working with gets called to the teacher table because they have something they need to work on with them? So really just establishing those norms and what to expect. Y'all, we really could talk about procedures all day. There's our Chromebook anchor chart, like how to use the Chromebook, what happens if it doesn't work, getting those up in your room so your kiddos know. And then we are going to give you this handout. These are just the questions that we're asking you to think about. So if you want to print it and use it as I have a procedure for this, I still need to think about this one a little bit more. So yes, you will have access to all of the things we're talking through today.
One thing I do want to point out, this is just the surface. As Faith said, we could talk about this all day, and you all probably have unique situations to your unique classroom. You will have to think through those, okay? So maybe a student needs medicine. What is the procedure? What is the routine for that student? You'll have to think through all of that globally in the school as well as your classroom. But right now, it's all about your classroom, all right? We are going to shift to, so we've talked about classroom management, right? And their routines and procedures. We're going to shift our thinking to that behavior management piece. And most people think of behavior management when they hear the phrase classroom management, all right? We have defined classroom management. We've defined that it's about organization and consistency with those routines and procedures, all right? Behavior management is all about managing how your students behave. And we're going to talk through some big ideas for that, from whole group ideas to small group. Most of your schools, Gwinnett is a PBIS county. PBIS stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Support, if I can say it. And it is a program in 104 schools in GCPS schools. That was the data I pulled 2 days ago. But PBIS emphasizes equity, systems, data, practices, and outcomes. Today, we're just going to talk briefly about those behavioral systems and practices to consider for your classroom, okay? Practices that you can think through to put in place to support your students and to create that positive classroom environment, okay? All right, so I want you to think about behavior management as a funnel. Think big idea. We're going from big and getting down to just the finite pieces of it, all right? We're going to talk about some whole group ideas. You want to be able to manage your students, their behavior in whole groups. You want it as they're working in the classroom, when they're walking down hallways, when they're eating in the cafeteria, when they're sitting in school-wide programs. Those are some of the situations where you are going to want to be able to manage what's going on. These ideas came straight from teachers, and they are just a few. So they are not the end all to be all. They're just some that Faith and I have seen work in classrooms, and personally, I've used some as well. So to manage those whole group settings with your kids, maybe you're in your teacher-led small group and every single person is on task and doing what they're doing. This teacher had the kids, they used the word compliment. I've seen some teachers use the word party. Each letter in the designated word has a space, and as your kids earn compliments, they earn a letter for the word. And as soon as they complete building the word, they received a popcorn party. And this was for I think, a third or fourth grade classroom I was in. Consistency is your number one. It's your best friend right now. Be consistent with positively reinforcing your students. Some other ideas. This was from an elementary or primary teacher. She had fuzzies. If they received compliments in the classroom, they took a fuzzy from this jar and put it in the fuzzy jar. And once this clear jar was empty, that is a visual for your students to see how close they are to earning their reward that use a clear glass. Another option is the in-out jars. I recommend just positively reinforcing putting in when they receive compliments or everybody is on task doing their work. Don't just limit this to being outside of your classroom. Monitor that behavior when they are working in small groups as well. Okay, in that large group setting, everybody's doing their job. All right, some other things. All right, so our funnel started big. We're going to get a little bit smaller. Think about those small group systems you may want to put in place. This is for groups that may be following directions, and the other groups are not, and you want to pull attention without calling out the off-task people. Reward the people that are on task. Maybe their groups are working collaboratively together in tables, okay? Here's some ideas. This touchdown one, that's mine personally. I used in my classroom and I've taught K-5. Each table was a color football. And as they earned a compliment, they progressed through the yard line. And when they reached the touchdown, they received a free homework pass. And you want to talk about winning with my third, fourth, and fifth grade kids? They loved it. Another teacher, this teacher that was over here with the compliment, she just did tables 1, 2, 3, 4, and they earned tally marks. And when they earned X amount of tally marks, they earned a reward. All right. You want to, if you're doing this, you want to probably set smaller segments if you choose, just to teach your kids how you're going to behave in the classroom. This system came right from, I was in my son's middle school classroom. This is how his Spanish teacher monitored it. These could be your groups. I know the numbers aren't consecutive. These are the classes she had, and she just did links on a chain. All right. All right. Now we're down to the individual part, right? Hopefully through your whole group system and your small group system, you are able to manage the majority of your students, all right? And hopefully you just have to use the individual piece as needed, because this becomes a little bit more intense behavior management. But again, hopefully with the other two systems, this isn't needed as much. I'm sure you've seen the clip charts where they move up and down. Be intentional. If you do clip a student down, be sure to instantly, if they push their chair in, clip them back up. All right. Another idea, I know teachers that have used STAR students. This comes from a resource called Teach Like a Champion. It's a great resource, and we can put that on the website as well, that your school probably has it, with a bunch of routines and procedures to consider. Sit up, track the speaker, ask and answer questions like a scholar, respect those around you. And this teacher tied it to her whole group system, as they earned stars. If the whole group and the large group meeting space were STAR students, they earned a star for the class poster. And when they reached 6 or 7 stars, I forget how many, they earned their reward. I know I've mentioned rewards. Faith and I, we've put together a list here of some free reward ideas, because believe me, Faith and I have both been in your shoes at the beginning, salary pay scale. So here's some ideas that you can use. I will tell you, the kids love sitting in your chair. They love being able to take off their shoes. So if, your reward, if they've scored a touchdown in their small group, they get to choose. And maybe you just present only 2 or 3 choices for them, maybe just 2, A and B, and then they can vote and you choose. Okay.
Lunch with the teacher. That was
Lunch
the
with the
popular
teacher.
One.
Yes, it
Didn't
was.
cost me any money. They brought their school lunch right to my classroom and we ate together.
Same, Faith. Same. Okay. Faith and I have literally poured so much information into you right now. We want to give you a chance to think through what's going on in your head. Okay. What are some things you might be rethinking about your classroom? Is it your classroom setup? Is it some routines and procedures you want to rethink? Or are your management systems, do you want to rethink through those? Are there any procedures that you forgot about and you may want to add to your classroom. Is your classroom set up to foster that student collaboration? So really thinking through, what are your next steps? You are going to have about 5 to 7 minutes in a breakout room for you all to think through these questions that are on this screen. So you may want to snap a picture of it real quick or just jot down some things that are swirling in your head. And we are going to send you out to those breakout rooms now. Okay. And guys, as you all have questions, thank you for those of you who are dropping them in the chat. Jot them down, drop them in the chat, or put them on the Padlet when we come back. We'll give you that at the end of the session.
All right, breakout rooms are open. All right, you guys, welcome back. We wanted to take just a second. We have two very special people that have dropped by, and we wanted to give them a second to say hello. We have our director of K-5 Mathematics,
Michelle.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, there you are.
There she is.
It took me a little longer to come back in from the breakout room.
The breakout room.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I think I said good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Michelle Bellamy. I am so honored to serve as the K-5 Director of Mathematics. And y'all, I popped into just a couple of breakout rooms. So y'all are already just warming my heart. I heard just so many great conversations, and you guys were taking some of the suggestions and work from our presenters, but you were also just sharing ideas with each other already. And this is exactly what this is about. This is your community. These are your people. And I am so thankful that you are here. It is not leave us that you are here during your first full week of school, learning from each other and building that community with each other. So I am so thankful to have you here. Please, please know that we are here to partner with you. And I'm just so thankful to be a part of your math family. And now that you have a larger math family and a larger new teacher family. So welcome. And I'm so excited about this cohort learning.
And we also have her right-hand lady, our K-5 math coach, Jill Moore.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to GCPS. I want these two amazing ladies to be able to finish out their presentation. So I am here if you need me. Just an email away, but back to you guys.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Let's just be a little transparent here, y'all. We know we have packed so much into this session and we do want to honor your time. So if you need to leave at 5 o'clock, please do. Okay. This is your time. And you, as Michelle said, you took it to be here with us and we just want to honor that. So just keep that in mind. All right. Go ahead, Faith.
All right. So can you guys see my portal page? Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to take just a second to show you where you can find all of these resources as well as some planning tools. So through your portal page, you're going to click that e-class button. And then if you haven't done so yet, you're going to search Elementary Communication Center here. And then you guys, that pin button is going to allow you to keep it at the top. But y'all, let me show you a trick. You ready? If you grab this little lock right here, you can just drag it and put it on your bookmarks bar. So for me, because we live on eCom, I click here and it always pops up once I'm signed into my portal. So just a little tech tool. But here is our Elementary Communication Center. You're going to be able to find all the things for your grade level here. So if you click the top button, which I'm sure most of you have already explored a little bit, then you're going to click what content area you want more information about for your grade. And you're going to see all of the unit pages. So when you go into your first unit, you'll see the standards that are going to be taught in that unit, the IOAs that are in that unit. And then down here, you guys, this is where you really are going to just be so excited. If you haven't looked yet, this is our Analyzing the Standards document. This is new because we have new standards this year. So this all is amazing new content that is being updated all the time. You're also going to have your pacing guide that's going to give you day-by-day bullets instruction as well as resources for like your student tasks, all of those things, your small groups that you're going to do with your students at your teacher table. All of these things are here. This is a new resource this year, so you might be finding out about it first because these are our unit at a glance videos. You can watch that video. It's going to talk you through the overview of the unit as well as show you some instructional strategies that you're going to be using in your class. So these are great. They're brand new, so you can share that with your teams when you go back tomorrow because a lot of our other teachers don't know that. So all of these things, we are encouraging you. You have a little bit of like homework exploration that we're going to ask you guys to do, but to dig in and just look and see what all's there. So when you go back, and I don't like pressing the back button, it looks funny. So I'm going to press my little bookmark thing. I scrolled down there, it took me right back. And we are encouraging you to go past your grade level pages. So we want you to come on down and explore the Math Office page. There are so many resources. As Catherine mentioned earlier, we are very rich with resources in GCPS. Here, you can quickly find a lot of resources for multiple grade levels. So if you're in here and you're ESOL or your EIP or you're teaching multiple grade levels, you can access multiple grade level resources through here without having to click in the individual unit pages. I want to take a second to show you this button, you guys, the manipulatives button. We adopted new manipulatives and they are coming to your building soon, I promise. But you want to know what's in your kits, you can come here and it's going to show you the picture of everything that's going to be in your kit. So if you're on the pacing guide and the pacing guide says you need to use angle legs and you've never heard of what an angle leg is because they've always been geosticks, you can come here to see what an angle leg looks like. So you know exactly what to pull out of your kits ahead of time and have available to your students. So you're going to be able to click and see exactly what comes in your grade level kit.
And Faith, can I go back to that? When you were talking, when you're looking at those resources, you've got counters, you've got snap cubes, you've got big tools that you will use throughout your school year. Those are the tools, your base 10 blocks. Those are the tools you want to have access, provide access for your students to year round. Okay. But like your solid geometric figures, you're not going to need those till you teach geometry. So be considerate about the space that you have when you're setting up that manipulative library. All right. Sorry.
Lots. Nope, you're good. Lots of great, brand new. You're going to be the first person to use them resources, which is exciting. So then we're going to go back to Ecom again, math. Gonna scroll down. We had some people asking in the chat, where do we get all the things you guys are showing us? So the math department page, when you scroll down to the bottom, these are resources from professional learning. You guys are going to hear all about boot camps and all of those things, but we have a new Teacher Math Academy button. So on this page, you have our meeting dates, what each session is going to be about. If you did not register for each session, please go back into PD&E and register for each one individually. That way we'll expect you. But up here in the right-hand corner, I didn't even notice it the first time, is this school year 23-24. When you click that button, it's going to take you to the resources for each session. So we will have the recording from tonight. The presentation is amazing because you click through, but the pictures pop up individually. So you'll be able to see all of those images that flew away. If you wanted to see any of that. And then the two handouts that you guys saw, the behavior management and the numeracy routines. So everything that you need will be here for you from the new Teacher Math Academy sessions. All right. I know we are going very quickly, you guys. Preset slideshow. So again, If you did not register for each session, please go in and do that. We want you to explore eCom just a little bit before you come back. What are 3 resources that you can find on the math office page? And then if you like we are so excited about our classrooms, and I know we spend so much time and money getting them ready. We would love for you to just shoot us an email. If you want to share something from your classroom, how you have it set up, or a system that you use, we're just going to say, shoot me and Catherine an email with your picture, and we will share that with the team. Our optimistic closing for today is we're asking you to think about one thing that was confirmed for you, one thing that you're like, I am doing this really well. And then we want you to commit to one thing. What is one thing that you are kind of rethinking or something that you want to try before we come back? So you have your one thing you're doing well, your one thing you're committed to trying, and last but not least, like Catherine said, we have a Padlet. We know we have just kind of hit the surface of everything. And Padlet, we thought that way, if you ask a question, everybody can see your question, and they can be completely anonymous. There are no dumb questions. And a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. So we're going to have this Padlet link for you guys. Catherine and I are committed to at least checking it and trying to answer questions at least once a week. So she's going to put that in the chat. It will also come with that follow-up email that you'll get after today's session. The other thing you're going to see in the chat is your attendance link. We want you to get your credit for attendance coming today. And also just for us to kind of keep track of who's coming and how we can make things better. So please, please, please take a second to do your attendance. Padlet is available, and Catherine and I are happy to chat with you. Email, just let us know. We are an email away. I am Faith Campbell. Catherine is complicated. She is Catherine K. Smith. But please,
There are
please,
lots
please.
of Smiths in the district, so I've got to designate myself a little bit, because there is a Catherine Smith that I get her emails all the time. Just make sure you have the middle initial K. And Faith, real quick, we had some questions in the chat about, do we have to attend all the sessions? You don't have to at all, guys. And Jill and Michelle, you all fill in if I misspeak here. In order to receive your PD&E credit at the end of the year, you need to attend at least 80% of our meetings. Okay. But no, you do not have to attend. And they through the website that you saw, you can see the topics that we're going to discuss. So you choose. It's up to you. We know you have real lives outside of teaching.
Yep.
And that's a hard life to balance.
And all of the sessions will be recorded. So if you miss one,
Yes.
you can get the information. You just won't have that opportunity to kind of connect, which is what we really want to give you guys time to do.
I am just thrilled, Faith, seeing all the comments come in about what people are committing to. They are committing to eCom. They are committing, to using anchor charts and establish more routines in their classroom. And Miss Coney, being a kindergarten teacher, I did it for 3 years, and let me tell you, they will eat you alive if you don't have those routines and procedures in place, even from how to stand up, stand behind your chair, push your chair in. And I promise you, I probably practiced that 4 to 5 times a day through Labor Day until it became a habit. Again, going back to that first, I think the best thing about education, you have a redo every day if you need it, every day. So try something again and tweak it a little bit, or throw it out with the whole thing out and start over. It's up to you. But go ahead, Faith.
Nope, you're good. You will get an email before each meeting reminding you kind of what your homework was, and with the Zoom link. Again, please register for each session if you didn't have time to do that yet.
And guys, if you all are hanging back for a quick Q&A, like Faith said, we're going to be here for a few minutes. Please unmic yourselves. It's getting a little the chat room's filling up real quick. So you all can just unmic and ask the questions that are weighing heavy on you right now. Thank you all for being here.